Hey there, my wedding planning friends, and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, thanks so much for clicking on my video. I'm Emily Summer. I'm a wedding planner based in Montana, and I make weekly videos on wedding planning tips and advice. I'm also the owner of Velvet Bride, which is a wedding dress store here in Missoula, Montana. And today's video is about wedding dress shopping, and more specifically, 6 myths when it comes to wedding dress shopping. Myth number 1, you need to try on as many dresses as possible. Absolutely not true. While you should try on every type of style and shape and silhouette if you have not tried on any wedding dresses before, you don't need to try on every possible option. I hear a lot of people say, well, you don't know until you try it on. And while this is very true, there are plenty of things that you can probably narrow out that just aren't your style and aren't true to you without actually having to try it on. So don't feel the need to try on every possible dress just so that you can rule it out in case it might be the one, because you've heard of people trying on dresses they never would have tried on before and falling in love with it. This can definitely happen. However, typically if a bride sees a dress that they're a little bit iffy on, or maybe it's not one they would have grabbed, it's not because it's not their style or because they didn't think it was pretty. A lot of times it's just because they couldn't see the shape on a hanger or couldn't really tell what the dress would look like on the hanger versus on their body, and not because they weren't initially drawn towards it or didn't like some aspect of the dress. Again, it's good to try on a lot of different shapes and silhouettes when it comes to wedding dress shopping, but once you've figured out you're not liking a certain shape, or you've discovered that you really love a certain shape and you want to see more dresses in that, it's okay to lean into that lane and it's okay to start narrowing things down. It can get super overwhelming to try on a ton of dresses, especially if you're not somebody who thrives in the shopping environment. Myth number 2, you're supposed to cry when you find the dress. This is the biggest myth probably in this entire list, as it's been a while since I've had a bride in my store cry when she has found her wedding dress. Obviously it happens, it totally happens all the time, but it is not something to expect. It's not something that you should be waiting for or think, oh, this dress isn't the one because I haven't cried in it. It's very normal to not cry in your dress. It's very normal to not have any sort of strong emotional response to your dress in general if that is not your personality, if that's not your style, if you're not somebody who is an outwardly emotional person, if you're not somebody who gets emotional about something like this, then you're not gonna cry in your wedding dress just because other people have. So don't put that pressure on you, and don't get discouraged if you haven't had this like visceral reaction to a wedding dress when you are trying things on. You want to feel good in your wedding dress. You want to be able to picture yourself walking down the aisle. You want to be comfortable and you want to feel beautiful. Those are way more important than having an emotional or crying reaction in your wedding dress. I have had brides cry in wedding dresses that weren't their dress. Maybe it's just that moment that everything became real to them and they were overcome with the emotion of the situation of, getting to marry their person, and had nothing to do with the dress they were in. And I've had plenty of brides that have not had any sort of emotional reaction in their dress, and they chose it because they loved it so much. So, reiterating, you don't need to cry in your wedding dress. Myth number 3, if you're scared, then it's probably not the right one. It is very normal to be nervous. It's very normal to be a little bit scared when you're about to pull the trigger on a pretty high purchase. This is a purchase that holds a lot of weight. I understand that. It's a big decision. You're probably going to be nervous even if you know in your gut that you wholeheartedly love this dress. And a little bit of doubt is normal. It's a big commitment. It's a big decision. And that's totally normal. If you are so doubtful that you are uncomfortable, then don't make the purchase. Sleep on it, look at pictures, come back and try it on a second time. But it's okay to feel a little bit nervous. Number 4, you need to have a white wedding dress. Now more than ever, this is absolutely a myth. In fact, if you walk into a bridal store right now, in fact, I can show you, I don't know how well you can see in my bridal store. However, there are a lot of dresses that are not white. And a lot of them are off-white, ivory. A lot of times you wouldn't even notice necessarily that it's not white unless you have it right next to a white dress. But white, bright white, stark white is starting to kind of work its way out of the bridal industry a little bit. Of course, it's still there, and there's plenty of people who still want a white wedding dress, but it doesn't need to be white. There's a lot of designers that are incorporating color. A lot of times this is in a lining, maybe it's like a nude or a taupe latte colored lining in the dress to kind of help with that contrast, as big, large appliques are a popular trend right now. and incorporating some sort of color. I've also had brides looking for a black wedding dress, which is a trend that I've seen a little bit on the rise, or just colors in general. So don't be afraid of some color, and if you love a dress but it's not super white and you've always envisioned being in a white dress, try not to overthink that too much. You don't necessarily need a white dress if you fell in love with something that isn't white. Number 5, you need to show everyone important in your life the dress for approval before purchasing. There are plenty of brides that are this way. If you feel like you need to show it to your closest friends, to your mom, to your aunt, whoever that might be before you can purchase the dress, that's your prerogative and that's totally up to you. But don't feel the need to do this in order to purchase your dress. Especially when you come to an appointment and you only brought 1 or 2 people with you because you felt more comfortable, you didn't want that many eyes on you, you didn't want that many opinions. So why would you continue to ask for opinions? The only opinion that really matters is yours. And sure, I understand wanting to get a little bit of validation from a couple people close to you, and that's totally fine. But if you are in an appointment and there are people that are not there, shoot them a picture, maybe you hop on a FaceTime or a Zoom call with them. But in all reality, you do not need to get the approval of every single person in your life, in your close circle, before purchasing your wedding dress. Don't put that kind of pressure on yourself, and it might make you second guess your wedding dress as well. If you love it, that's the only thing that matters. And on a similar note, number 6 is you have to bring everyone with you. So we kind of talked about this in the last one. If you're somebody that gets a little bit overwhelmed with people's opinions or being the center of attention, having a lot of people in your bridal appointment is going to probably be a very overwhelming situation for you, and by no means is it necessary. I think a lot of brides feel the pressure because they don't want to leave anyone out or have them feel like they weren't important enough or didn't mean enough to the bride to attend their dress fitting or their dress appointment. And really what it comes down to is you've got to do what's best for you and what's going to be the most productive for you. If bringing a ton of people to your bridal appointment is not going to help you make that decision, then don't do it. It can be really overwhelming to have a lot of opinions. If you want to bring just your mom, if you want to bring just your best friend, if you want to go dress shopping by yourself, do it. Whatever feels most comfortable to you, whatever sounds like you're going to have the best experience, the easiest experience, the most stress-free experience, that is what you should do. Do not feel a pressure that you have to bring every single person close to you into your dress appointment because they will feel left out. Send them photos, let them know what you picked after the fact if you want them included, but you don't have to bring everyone to your bridal appointment. With television shows and social media, I know there's a lot of expectations and things that are talked about that maybe you feel like you should or shouldn't be doing when it comes to wedding dress shopping. But really what it comes down to is this is all about you and your experience, and you can do it however makes you feel the most comfortable and makes you the happiest. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe to get weekly videos on wedding planning tips and advice, and we'll see you next week.